Hi, my name is Miguel Quiles. I'm a Sony Artisan of Imagery.
In this video, you'll learn about working with subjects to pose them and directing hand placement.
When you're posing your subjects, I have come up with a simple process to be able to pose the subject without actually having to physically touch them. And it's something that really, number one, makes the subject much more comfortable. Number two, it makes the flow of the shoot go so much faster rather than having to stop and position and move the model. And they start to feel uncomfortable because they feel like their natural movements are not pleasing to the camera. You can actually pose a model without actually physically touching them. And I'm going to show you how easy this is. The first thing that I do is I tell the model this story. I tell them the very first thing I want you to do, and I'll tell you as my model. You guys can follow along at home and pretend like I am posing you as my subject. I will tell you, I want you to pretend like you are looking in the mirror. And so if you were looking into the mirror and I tell you, I want you to mirror me and I want you to do this, right? Are you guys doing that at home? All right, you're mirroring me? Great. I want you to go like this, right? I want you to go like that. I want you to go like this. I want you to go like that. And so I could tell you very easily, I could say, I want you to go this way. I want you to bring the shoulder up. I want you to bring it back. Bring the hand up. If you mirror me, I can get you to do any type of pose just by telling you, you're looking in the mirror, I'm your reflection, mirror me. So that's the first thing. That's how I can get them to look one way, look the other, tell them to put their hands by their side, go like this. I could do all sorts of different positions just by telling them to mirror me. The second thing that I do is what I call my Jedi claw. And so if I put my hand up like this, I want you to pretend like I am palming your face like a basketball. So I have my hand, so it's like this, palming your face, and I tell you go like this or go like this. And what I'm doing is it's going to tilt the head this way or tilt the head that way. And very quickly and easily I could tell you, okay, we're going to put the two together. I want you to mirror me, go like this, perfect. I want you to tilt the head this way, perfect. So there's the second step. We have the Jedi claw, first step is mirror. The next thing that I do is what I call the old Bill Clinton. If I put my thumb like this or put my hand like this, I want you to pretend like I am holding just your chin. And when I do this and I tilt, go this way, right? So I'm going to go that way or this way or down or up. Then the harder movement, and I always have to explain this to them, I'll turn sideways so you can see it. If I tell the model, if I bring my thumb closer to my face, what I want them to do is to do this. I want them to basically turtle. And what that's going to do is, and I'll show the camera here directly, if I'm looking at the camera, this is natural for me, this is comfortable, this probably gives me a kind of a chunky chin right now. But if I go like this, all of a sudden the skin gets kind of tight. Now all of a sudden I have a more defined jawline, I look slimmer. And so there will be certain times when I want them to look a little bit thinner, and I just pull their chin forward towards me, bring it down, over, right, up or down. So the old Bill Clinton, we have the claw, the Jedi claw, we have the mirroring. The last part is if I put both of my hands up like this, I want you to pretend like I am holding your, or I'm touching your shoulders. So if I push this way, what I want you to do is to rotate this way or rotate this way. So we push that way, we push this way. And that way, if I get them into a pose, putting it all together, I tell them, mirror me, go like that, perfect. I want you to go ahead and tilt the head this way, perfect. Bring the chin this way, great. And then I'm going to push the shoulder back, so we'll push it this way, boom. And then I go ahead and I start taking my shots from there. Very quick, very easy way. And the other thing is, you could do this with groups of people. You could have 2 or 3 people and you could say, okay, person number 1, go like this, boom, perfect. Go to the next person, boom, boom, boom. Go ahead and pose them, come back, start taking your shots. You can even do this at a distance. I've done this on location in photo shoots where I'm trying to take a shot that encompasses the whole environment. And they could be standing 10, 15, 20 feet away, and I tell them to mirror me, and I could get them to pose exactly the way that I want them to pose within that environment. So use this as a way to be able to quickly pose your models and to get that perfect pose without having to really fidget and fight with it too much. Let's see, so your hair is on that side, so I want you to mirror this way. It's perfect. Throughout that entire process, you have to make sure that you are letting that model know You're doing a great job. Fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted. I want you to turn the head this way. Perfect. And bring that shoulder. You have to communicate with them. You can't just assume that they know that they're doing a really good job throughout that process. So as I'm telling them to pose and to mirror me and doing the Jedi claw thing, perfect, that looks great. Then go ahead and turn this way. Fantastic. You have to let them know that they're doing a good job because, again, that's going to help you to get to that hero shot much, much faster. If you haven't tried this before, give it a try. You're going to notice that you're going to get better shots, better portraits much faster by encouraging them throughout this entire posing process. When it comes to posing your models and posing your subjects, hands are something that is very challenging. It took me several years first to figure out what does good hand placement look like? What does a good hand engagement in a photograph look like? So that's something that you have to train your eye to see, how do hands look and work in an image? Hands in this case are very, very important. Being that we're going to be shooting very close-up shots and kind of chest up length portraits, the hands are going to play a crucial role in adding interest and depth and character to a lot of these portraits. So usually what I'll end up doing is I'll take a few shots and I'll review and I'll try to evaluate a couple of things. I'm evaluating the expressions, I'm evaluating the lighting, and I'm also evaluating the hands. And what are the hands doing in the image? Are they adding to the allure? Are they adding to the mystery, to the sensuality, to the beauty? All of these different feelings and moods and expressions can be demonstrated by how you change the position of your hands. So looking through a few shots like this, like I love this. This particular shot is one where she has the hands perfectly. To me, good hand placement is natural. It's something where you look at the image and the hands just fall naturally in a spot that it almost looks like they were brushing their hair out of their face and you happen to catch them at the right moment. You actually see that it's not like that. They're just setting their hand and then you're taking the shot. So you're trying to capture this natural state in a very unnatural setting and environment. So it's a skill that you have to work through as a photographer to look at it and evaluate what looks good and what doesn't look good. For me, this type of a shot is awesome. It's very soft. The hands are nice and soft. I tend to look out for shots that look like the hands were very posed and just placed on the face. I don't like, for example, when the hands are pressing against the skin or pressing or hooking to where it's very harsh because it looks posed. And the thing with hands, again, is it needs to look 100% natural. It needs to look like you just happen to catch them at that right moment where it just looked super, super natural. And Abby does a really good job. She makes my job easy here. Just looking through some of these shots, she gives a lot of variation as to where she places her hands. The other thing as well with a lot of these shots is what they show the camera. So for example, I will always instruct the model, I want to see the blade of their hand. What I don't want to see is the inside or the back side of the hand. The inside of the hand is not really a beautiful thing to look at. It's very distracting. You'll have people that have beautiful faces and then all of a sudden you put the inside of their hand to the face and you see wrinkles. Everybody's hands are wrinkled. You look at a little baby's hands, they have a bunch of wrinkles and lines. That doesn't make a good juxtaposition up against somebody's beautiful skin when they have lines and stuff on their hand. The other thing is if you show the back side of the hand, you also have veins, you have vascularity that shows up on the back side of their hand. But even worse is that if you're shooting really close, the size of their hand looks bigger to the camera when it's facing directly to it. So for example, as you can see here, if you see my face, my hand actually looks to be really huge compared to the size of my face. So if I shot a portrait that was from my wrist up to the top of my head, my hand would look huge. I'd look like I have Hulk hands or something because of how big it looks. But if I turn it to the side, now all of a sudden my head looks bigger than my hands. And for women, in these types of a portrait, that's what you want to see. In this case, she does a really good job at showing that blade of the hand in each of these frames. You have to give them some sort of instruction as to what to do with their hands. So usually I know what looks good, so I'll tell them to mimic me and I'll tell them, bring your hands like this, bring it like this. I'm telling them to give me different expressions. telling them to play characters and trying to get them outside of their own comfort zone to give me the exact expressions that hopefully will end up leading me to that hero shot that I'm trying to go for. So hands are a tough one, but it's something that you have to keep working on. And eventually you get to the point to where you know exactly what you need and you can communicate with the model what you need and they'll give it to you. When it comes to shooting portraits, the eyes are everything. Everything in the image in terms of the posture, the posing, everything I want it all to funnel back into bringing attention to the subject's eyes. So everything that I'm doing in terms of the posing, in terms of the hand gestures, in terms of the direction that the model is looking, I'm trying to basically get the viewer to look directly into this person's eyes and to assess that person's mood, assess what they're thinking, where is their mind? You don't want to have that blank out to lunch type of expression. So when you give somebody this story and you tell them this is the story that you're kind of playing out and you're looking off in this direction and you're seeing these things, they think these things in their mind and then they start to emote that. Through using different techniques like shooting with a longer lens, shooting in really, really tight and close, it really brings the person into that image to say, I wonder what they're looking at. I wonder what they're thinking. And you can have 10 different people that will look at that one shot and everybody builds their own story and scenario around that shot to say, well, I think that they were looking at this, or they were thinking this, or they were thinking that. And those are the things that really have that scroll stoppability that I try to go for when I'm shooting these types of portraits. I want you to stop and think and say, this is the story, and then no, this is the story. And that's the way to be able to do that, is to really focus on the eyes, focus on the expressions, and kind of sell this story and sell this mood and sell this feel in that final hero shot. When you're working with models, it is really important that you have a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, that you communicate. Communication is very, very important between whether they're models or just anybody on the street. People need to hear how they're doing. You need to reinforce and encourage and give them a joy and enthusiasm for this process. And that all comes from you as the photographer, basically telling them that you're doing a great job. Wow, that's wonderful. Oh, that's so awesome. And you're saying this as a photographer to really kind of amp them up and let them know that they're doing good. I've seen a lot of photo shoots where people don't talk. And so the person is just standing there and you're taking their picture. They have no idea if they're doing a great job, if they're doing a poor job. Usually if they don't hear something, they're thinking they're doing terrible. So it's really important for you as the photographer to really inject that encouragement and that enthusiasm to tell them they're doing a good job. Even though it might be that they are still warming up and they're not giving it to you just yet, but they're going to give it to you faster if you are encouraging them and telling them that they're doing a great job. So that's probably the most important thing when you're working with anyone, whether they're models or subjects, is to really encourage them and communicate with them throughout the entire process.
In this video, you learned about working with your subjects to pose them and get natural looking hand placement,